Good morning, Adam, you sleepy bastard. I got a new screen recording app here, so we're going to try this out. You can now see me in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and I can go Madden on you if I want. Draw on the screen, point shit out. So only thing I've found is occasionally this makes the videos buffer a little bit stranger while recording. But it's not so bad sometimes if I turn my webcam on and off mid-recording. All right, so totally don't mind the longer posts. In fact, I prefer that over the people who don't post anything at all because it just gives me more context. That said, I'm just going to, like, for the sake of these videos, I want to try to be as efficient as possible. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the lifts, point stuff out, give feedback on the lifts, and then I'll make a separate post below just making sure I didn't miss anything else. But yeah, totally don't worry about that. All right, so let's check out these squats. I agree they went much better than even the previous weeks. They looked a lot more in control, stronger. Eating and nutrition absolutely helps with that. Yeah, I'm going to turn this webcam off just to allow the video to load a little better. You do a much better job of bracing at the top now. You are actually drawing the abs down and in, and you're not pushing the belly forward into overextension. So the back is much more neutral here. You do a nice job leaning over, pushing your hips back. Really, the only thing I want you to watch here is watch the upper back and watch the elbows. Do you see how the elbows kind of crank down and then back up? And they kind of crank down and up throughout each rep, which is either almost like you're exaggerating the elbows down cue, which we sometimes have to give to people to avoid them cranking their elbows up too high, or you're just not holding the upper back / shoulders tight enough. I'm going to turn my webcam back on. So we do want the elbows up a little bit, right? Because if the elbows are totally down, like literally in line with our torso, then if I can stand up here, then the bar has no shelf to sit on. And then basically what you're relying on is just the forward inclination of your torso to keep the bar in place, which is not that great. It's not that stable. And usually the elbows being that low also leads to the shoulder blades the shoulder blades being a little more protracted or the shoulders being forward. So the issue with the elbows moving up and down, aside from possible elbow issues that could occur from that, is more that it just doesn't create a very stable bar position. So rather, we want to think about the elbows being back, right? So elbows back and shoulders back so that we have a nice meat shelf for the bar to sit on. So in your case, like when you come to my gym in person, I would grab your elbows and pull them back and up a little bit so that you actually create a little bit more meat shelf to hold everything together in the back, to hold the bar in place. But that's really the only thing that I want to pick at here is that. And I see it happening on the heavier sets as well. And it's just a little point of where things start to break down and threads coming loose. So I want to see if you can, when you set up, if you can pay a little bit more attention to the elbows back, the shoulder blades pinching together, and get a little bit more secure shelf for that bar to sit on. Definitely don't be exaggerating the elbows being carried any lower, because you don't need to carry them. You certainly don't want, they're already too low, and we don't want to carry them any lower than they are right now. All right. Bench press. Having a good spotter is excellent. First rep is perfect. Second rep, you said in your comments below, but it was way too rushed and fast, and it led to your elbow position not being in the correct place the whole way down. But much better there on rep 3. You corrected it. You're keeping control of the cadence, and you were just fine. So aside from that rep 2, that was a well-executed set. Now your power cleans. I really don't think these, you certainly didn't execute these too poorly. I actually think like your feet are still slapping into the floor decently fast, as in you're moving pretty fast. But you are correct that the difficult part of this is going to be just moving fast enough, moving your body, not just getting the height on the bar, but like you said, changing directions quick enough, pulling yourself under the bar quick enough. And this is what the really good, like world level Olympic lifters are amazing at, is they can not only can they get height on the bar, but they can pull the bar to a minimum height, like lower than most other people could, because they can pull themselves under the bar so fast that that they can still rack the thing. But that's what we're practicing. And like you said, the only way you get better at that is by practicing it, doing more power cleans. Now, what I actually want to point out to you here is your setup. And we may have talked about this a little bit a few workouts ago, but it's popping up again here too. And in your setup, you're actually setting up with your shoulders a little too far over the bar and your hips a little too high. And this puts you just a little forward or a little more in your toes of the setup. And I think it's a large reason why you're having some reps that you're catching forward in your toes here, which doesn't make the racking all that much easier, right? So setting up from the get-go in a good position is important here. And the easiest way I think we can attack this is by just changing the order of how you set up slightly. We'll watch this rep and then I'll show it to you on the next one. Because everything else here, you're honestly doing pretty well with. You're finishing, you're keeping the bar as close to your body as you can. You can see the bar pull your t-shirt up on these reps. So if you were just a little bit more in balance coming off the floor, these are going to go even better. So watch the way you set up here. All right, you see how you drop your knees to the bar as you're taking your grip. So instead of doing this, go ahead, bend over and take your grip with just very soft, unlocked knees. So almost stiff-legged, but not quite. Then after you've taken your grip where you want it, then you are going to squat your shins forward to the bar. And notice I say squat your shins forward to the bar because this is what's going to set your hip height and your shoulder position. So if you stay in the middle of your foot and you bend at the knees, dropping the hips until your shins contact the bar, that'll be exactly where you need to be. And it's going to be a lot closer actually to where you are before you re-straighten out the knees. So it's going to be closer to where you are there, because you notice when you redo that whole knee and hip thing, your hips actually end up a little bit higher, shoulders end up lurched a little bit more forward than they did initially. So if you go grip, then squat the shins of the bar, then squeeze the chest up, I think you're going to have more success with getting into a better position off the floor. Again, clean itself, man. It looks great. I'm nitpicking at the setup because I think that's really your biggest issue with these. Everything else I think looks pretty good. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions in this video. And again, I'm gonna make some comments below and address everything else in a separate post. So thanks, Adam.